Hi y'all, today I'm going to share with you my recipe for gluten-free French silk pie. If you've never had French silk pie, you are going to absolutely love this. If you like chocolate pie, this is more of a very lightly flavored chocolate pie. It has a silky smooth texture to it, hence the name French silk pie. And it is just divine. It is very rich, so a little goes a long way. Let's get into it and I'll show you how to make it. I'm going to start with the filling because the filling does need to chill for a little bit. And I'm starting by putting 4 eggs into my mixer bowl, and I want to put this over a double boiler or a pot with some simmering water in the bottom of it. So make sure it's a bowl that can withstand the heat. And for some reason, these eggs are giving me trouble today. If you ever get an eggshell in your mixture like I did here, just take the rest of the eggshell and you'll be able to scoop it right up. So we're going to whisk these together just for a little bit, just so they're not completely whole when we add the sugar in. And we're adding in 1.5 cups or 300 grams of granulated sugar. Seems like a lot, but we're going to be using unsweetened chocolate in this. So the only sweetener in all of the pie comes from this sugar here and none in the actual chocolate. So just remember that. Also, I will say that I doubled the filling recipe because I like a really tall pie filling. If you don't want to do that, you can just have the filling, and I have all the instructions for that in the original recipe. So we are going to put this over a pot of simmering water. It's about 1 inch of water in the bottom, and it's just lightly simmering. And we're going to whisk, whisk, whisk until it reaches a temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. This whole process takes about 5 to 7 minutes or so, but I'll go ahead and speed up the video just so you won't have to watch me sit and whisk this for 5 to 7 minutes. You'll notice too, as the time goes by, the mixture gets lighter and lighter in color. So now we'll check the temperature. I'm using my infrared thermometer. Yes, we're at 160, so we can take it off the heat now. By the way, you don't need an infrared thermometer. I have one because I do a lot of chocolate tempering and such. You can use just any old thermometer you have, whether it be a candy thermometer, an instant read thermometer, or any kind of thermometer will work. And by the way, I'll leave some links below, but thermometers are very cheap. You should be able to get a decent thermometer for under 10 to 12 bucks, unless they've gone up way in price since I bought the last one, which very well could be. Okay, so we added in our chopped chocolate. This is, like I said, unsweetened chocolate. It is only 2 ounces of unsweetened chocolate, and that's why we needed to add all of that sugar in there, because unsweetened chocolate is just pure chocolate and is very, very bitter. If you've ever bitten into a piece of unsweetened chocolate, you would know. You'd want to spit it out immediately. It is so bitter, at least in my opinion. So we just whisk this in. The heat, the residual heat, will melt all of that chocolate. And once it's completely melted, we can cover this and put it right in the refrigerator to chill while we get our pie crust going. Y'all, I went ahead and skipped over showing y'all how to roll out this pie crust because I know you've seen me do it many times before. If you don't know how to do it, go to my pie crust video. You'll be able to see it in action there, and pretty much any of my other pie videos. So I'm just crimping this right now, and it's going to go in the freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now it's nice and firm and chilled, and we can dock it with a fork, not just on the bottom, but on the sides too. And this just keeps it from puffing up and also shrinking down. And I'm balling up a piece of parchment paper, and I'm only doing that so it won't have sharp edges for going into the pie. It'll just get into all the corners. And now I'm going to line it with my pie weights. In this case, It is rice because I could not find my bag of beans. Usually I use a variety of all different beans and I've been using them for a while now, but rice works just as well. So we're going to get this into a 425 Fahrenheit oven and bake it for about 12 to 15 minutes or until you start to see this browning around the edges of the crust, and then carefully remove the pie weights and put it back in the oven for another 10 to 12 minutes or until it's nice and golden brown and you don't see any more shiny areas. This is about what you're going for. You can even go a little bit darker if you'd like. Okay, we'll let that cool completely while we work on the filling. And this is just our chocolate mixture, the egg sugar chocolate mixture that we got out of the fridge. It's nice and chilled. And I'm going to start whipping it. If you don't have a stand mixer, you should be able to use a handheld mixer. It'll just take a little bit longer. And essentially, when you think about it, if you've ever made a Swiss meringue buttercream, this is very similar to a Swiss meringue buttercream. Whereas the Swiss meringue only uses egg whites and this uses the whole eggs. And if you've never had French buttercream, you have to try my French buttercream. It is my all-time favorite. It uses only the yolks, the egg yolks, and no whites at all. And people just absolutely rave about it when they try it. They've never had something quite like it. I will leave a link for that one below. There is a video. So we're going to add in our butter, and this is 226 grams of butter. It is a lot of butter, but remember I said I doubled the filling recipe because we like a thick filling in our house. And even though this is a really rich pie, we just cut smaller slices. But if you want to make a thinner filling where it is the original recipe, then you would just have everything, and this would only be 1 stick of butter or 113 grams. My butter was a little on the firmer side than I wanted it to be. So best practice for this is make sure your butter is at a cool room temperature. So we'll add in the rest of the butter and then we'll increase the speed to a medium high, and check this out. You see how much lighter in color and texture that is? That is exactly what you're going for. Now we can add in our vanilla, and like I said, I never measure my vanilla. I just pour until I think it's about a tablespoon or so, but if it comes out a little more or less, that's fine. We can spoon it into the pie crust. Now make sure your pie crust is nice and chilled because it will melt the filling if it's not completely cool. It doesn't have to go in the fridge or anything. Just make sure it's not radiating heat of any kind. And then take an angled spatula and just swirl the top, even it out. And this is what I was talking about with having a nice thick pie. And I like to wrap it up, put it in the fridge for 2 hours so it sets nicely, and then we can load the top with a lightly sweetened whipped cream. And I like to put then chocolate curls or chocolate shavings on top of that. And that's a French silk pie, y'all. There is nothing to it. It's actually very simple to make, but boy, is it delicious. Enjoy.